Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. Now, since September 2022 through to October this year, 2025, I've been a public contributor to a pain research project, chronic pain research project, abbreviated to CRISP. This stands for the Consortium to Research Individual, Interpersonal and Social Influences in Pain. Yes, I did have to read that off the screen. To mark the end of this project, it's been a 5-year project for the researchers and putting the whole thing together with public contributors coming in at a certain point. To mark the end of that, they organised what they called a showcase. This was an event to bring everybody that could get there together, as well as people who might be interested in what's come out of the project from outside in the pain research community. The event was in Bath in Somerset, and that's quite a distance to travel for me from Leighton Buzzard, either by car or public transport. But I was determined to get there, so carefully planned my journey so that I could cope with what fibro would throw at me and what I was already having to cope with fibro, if that makes sense. However, this video is not about the fibro experience. If you want to read more about that, I have written a blog post about my experience planning for the travel, but also the experience, a further blog post about the actual experience of the travel and coping through the event, etc. If you want to know more about CRISP and the research project, there is a lot of information coming out of it. I'll put a link to the website below and I'll put it on the screen here as well. Do go and have a look. There are papers being shared on there from the researchers. And you can read all about what public involvement's about and how it's helped influence that project and the way that the research has been undertaken. Public involvement in this project, very briefly, means that we have brought our lived experience as people living with chronic pain conditions, and we've discussed that, shared that, and then learnt from what the researchers have found in their research, and it all helped develop the way the research was undertaken and the direction that it took. Anyway, I planned my journey carefully, and on the outbound route from home to Bath, I had a connection to make in London. So Leighton Buzzard down into London Euston, Euston on the underground through to Paddington, and then Paddington the train would take us out to Bath. What I had to plan to do, I knew that I would need to grab some lunch. I didn't want to rush, and Paddington's not an area that I've been to before in London. So upon researching it, I was surprised to find that the canal that actually runs through Leighton Buzzard, the Grand Union Canal, also runs through Paddington. I don't know if it actually ends in Paddington. That bit I haven't looked up. You can do that. But there's a bit called the Paddington Basin. So I thought to myself, I'll plan a couple of hours, I'll grab some lunch, and I'll go for a little wander just to have a break between the transport. Because when I'm in transit, the movement, the concentration, the crowds, etc., that really adds to the load of coping with the fibro. So doing something like that where I'm just mindful of taking a wander, not concerned about getting from A to B, that really helps. Now, I haven't really used the phone for street photography yet. I've had it since September. You'll have seen previous videos. I've used it when I've been out in the woods, etc., and fungi shots, that sort of thing. So I started by shooting on the underground. I'm getting used to the settings and how to sort of, I want to use it purely in the manual, the Pro mode as it's called on the Samsung Galaxy S22. And this is the first time I've had a camera that's had these types of settings, a phone that's had these types of settings in the camera. When I arrived at Paddington, it was quite a sort of a colourful surprise, if you like. Wasn't expecting so many boats to be there and so many of them to be restaurants and bars, etc. So I took a little wander, and what I find useful is that on the phone I can change the aspect ratio very quickly. So in my mind, what I see, I know is either a wide panoramic type shot, or quite often on the phone, I find that I'm shooting in the one-to-one, the square crop mode. So I took a wander along the canal and I found an area where it looks like an area, I don't know, I'll need to look this up, where they might have events on with seating area around a bowl, for want of a better phrase, with the office buildings around it. There's a large screen there as well. So I spent a little bit of time walking around here looking for some creative shots. Then I wandered back towards the canal, and as you'll see, I was very grateful actually that the water on the canal was very still that day, and it was creating some fantastic reflections, and near perfect reflections in some cases, of the buildings and the surroundings. So I used the full screen mode on the phone to capture some of these shots, because really for me, for what I was seeing, it was the best way of trying to show you what I was experiencing there. phone helped me do shots I wouldn't have been able to do with my camera, purely for the reason that I only travelled to Bath with my 50mm lens. So that's a focal length equivalent of 80mm, I believe, on my 1.6 crop sensor. So the phone actually, as you'll see in some of these images, you'll see that actually what I did do for some of them, because of the scale of what I wanted to get, using the full screen rather than just 9:16, so I've used the full screen to take some of the shots. I then made my way to Paddington Station, literally a very short walk from the canal. The canal runs directly alongside the station, and I wanted to spend a bit of time there, firstly to grab a coffee and a bite to eat, but also to look for some shots and make the most of being in an area that I hadn't been to before. This image here is of a memorial to those who were lost in the 2 world wars. And this is where you can see the benefit, I think, for want of a better phrase, where the full screen mode has come in. I've been able to get the inscription beneath the statue. It looks like the soldier statue is looking down at me, and then I've got some of the ceiling in as well. It just gives a sense of scale of how it felt to be in the building. I decided to take a seat because by then my back and neck, etc., were really complaining, and I still had about an hour to wait for my train, 45 minutes. So I found a bench, sat there, had a bite to eat, and yeah, took some shots as people were going about their day. It was then time to catch the train from Paddington to Bath Spa. And as we left, I shot a bit of footage from the window of the train. I just sat back, relaxed really, and enjoyed the journey and the rest time, knowing that I would have a short walk from the station at the other end to the hotel, and then I would have to go out again and find some dinner. I thought I'd leave this bit of footage in the video. It just shows how wiped out I was when I arrived at the hotel. I literally walked straight past my room. Just could not compute the numbers on the wall. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It certainly was a challenge undertaking that trip, not from a photographic point of view, although that was challenging because of my condition and the impact it has. But the overall travel experience, coping with that, The day itself at the event I was there to attend was absolutely brilliant. I wasn't the only one with chronic pain, so the whole thing was paced appropriately. But I was overloaded by the time that I arrived in Bath, and obviously it was ramping up. And this is where you get used to feeling what's going on in your body and how your body and nervous system is reacting when you've got fibro. Anyway, there'll be a second video, which will be some footage of Bath and my images from a night shoot and the morning shoot on the Friday before I left. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And yeah, if you think anybody else will enjoy it, or the content or the links in it, particularly relating to my blog about coping with fibromyalgia, please share, and I will see you in the next video.